You need to ensure that at least one person on your compliance team isn't just familiar with the regulations, but is an expert, knows them inside out.
You're listening to 15M Mastering, a show that empowers you with insights from the leading iGaming experts to enhance your personal or business performance. The show is brought to you by tech-driven affiliate and media company Already Media, and supported by the AI-powered data analytics platform BetBlocker. And Yo Investments, a fund manager investing in outstanding people who are disrupting the iGaming, fintech, and crypto industries. Hey everyone, and welcome to 15M Mastery. Today we're joined once again by Duncan Garvie, head of ADR services at BetBlocker. Duncan has personally managed over 8,000 player disputes during his decade-plus career in alternative dispute resolution. Today, we'll explore how smart dispute resolution can strengthen customer relationships and improve operations. Welcome back, Duncan.
Good to see you again, Dimitri.
So let's start. Which types of player complaints reveal the most about operators' hidden operational weaknesses?
I'm a little reticent to single out any specific type of complaint because different types of complaints showcase different strengths and weaknesses. Fraud cases are a very interesting topic for me, and they often, it never fails to surprise me how often I have to give feedback to operators and to compliance teams saying, right, okay, I think you need to look at this. We've seen the documents now and we've picked up on and signposts that these documents are fake that you've maybe missed. Why don't you take a look at getting your team trained in this and directing them to a course or giving them tools, giving them feedback. So the fraud cases can help, well, I don't want to say expose weaknesses, but they can help signpost areas that an operator can improve their anti-fraud protection strategies. Responsible gambling cases often expose weaknesses in the monitoring and interactions with players who have experienced harm. Bonus cases can highlight weaknesses in term construction and understanding how bonuses work. It's another big bugbear for me is terms that have been written by people that clearly do not understand the mathematics behind bonuses. They've either written terms that are entirely ineffective at protecting them against what they want to be protected against, or they've taken a sledgehammer to put drive in a nail, and they're crushing their own bonus value, their own commercial value by punishing lots and lots of other players at the same time as stopping these small groups of players from targeting them. So yeah, different complaint types can end up highlighting different areas for improvement.
Let's talk a little bit about resolution and resolution times. What single change to dispute handling workflows could create the biggest improvement in resolution times?
Well, I'm actually going to give you a slightly different answer to the question. It's not in the dispute handling that they can improve dispute times. It's in their engagement with customers. Before it ever gets escalated to an ADR. And KYC is where I would point my finger directly. I understand that operators don't want to tip off people as to what they might be looking for when they're making certain KYC requests, but the number of cases that come across my desk where the operator has failed to explain clearly to the player what they need them to provide. If you can't explain to the player what you need them to provide, how do you expect the player to give you what you need? And so often what ends up happening is it gets escalated to us and our team ends up going back and saying, right, you need to tell us what you're looking for. We'll explain it to the player and then the player can comply. That case should never have come to us in the first place. And that's how you reduce the processing time for complaints, by preventing them occurring in the first place.
Okay, then let's talk maybe a little bit about these like patterns. So like which dispute patterns should trigger immediate product or process changes, and how do you spot them?
It's a very, very big question. But what you really need to be looking for, if we're talking about patterns, is exactly that. Patterns. You want to be looking at geographic activity as one. Because I can say now that there are certain countries where the majority of the complaint, we see far higher complaint volumes from certain countries, and the majority of complaints from these countries are non-valid. They're from players who are engaged in multi-accounting and document fraud. You, as an operator, you need to be paying attention both to geographic patterns. So are you seeing unusual sign-up activity within certain geographic locations? Are they following similar behavior patterns? Are they coming through from a specific affiliate? Are they all depositing the maximum or close to the maximum for a bonus? Are they all choosing the same or similar games? Are they all betting in the same way? These sort of patterns help you identify a wider trend where the traffic may not be genuine. You also want to pay attention to specific bonuses, because not all bonuses are beatable. Not all promotions are beatable. You need to keep an eye on you need to watch for unusual behavior patterns occurring coinciding with specific bonus events, specific promotional events. They would be the best place to start looking.
Yeah, absolutely love your answer. Thanks a lot for this insight. But let's say that the situation escalated and it eventually goes to like ADR services. And for any operator who's looking to build the first formal ADR process, what three elements should it try to prioritize to get the maximum impact from this situation?
One, expertise. You need to ensure that at least one person on your compliance team isn't just familiar with the regulations, but is an expert, knows them inside out. 2, understand bonus abuse. It's that simple. The vast majority of teams I interact with have a weak understanding of the mathematics of bonuses. And because they don't understand the mathematics of bonuses, this is what I was saying earlier about taking a sledgehammer to a nail. They deploy terms and policies that are ineffective at preventing what they're trying to prevent, or they're over effective and don't just restrict access for the undesirable behavior, but restrict access for desirable play as well. And communication. Again, this goes back to what I was saying about KYC. Your user support team needs to be well trained, and I know they're often the employees that are lowest paid within your company. But you get what you pay for. And if your user support agents cannot effectively communicate and resolve problems for your players, you're not just going to lose the bad players, you're going to lose the good players in droves as well. So invest in training your user support agents. Ensure that they understand what they're asking for and that they can communicate it clearly to players.
Maybe you can recommend any sort of like a frameworks or approaches, for like support teams or VAP teams. I mean, essentially anyone who's like dealing with the customers directly to be able to kind of protect them, the customers, and the business better as the result.
I don't have experience with dealing with the third party training organisations who can get in to do these things, but what I would say is that when it comes to your compliance team, stepping back from the full customer service focus training, there is a cultural issue to dealing with complaints. And I don't mean cultural as in which country you're from. I mean the culture within your company. And we encounter, I want to call them two different approaches, but it's a spectrum. It's in between these two different approaches. There are gambling operators that view their interactions with ADRs in a hostile and a competitive way. And there are gambling operators that view it in a cooperative way. One is gaining far more out of the interaction than the other. The truth is, a gambling operator isn't meant to love every decision that comes out of an ADR. We're acting like a judge in a courtroom. We have to rule the way that the information points, and that means you're not going to win every case. We understand that you don't like losing, but treat it as a learning exercise. If you listen to the feedback that the ADR is giving you, you can pick up how to tighten your terms and conditions, how to improve your training, where the weaknesses are in your system to prevent these cases coming up again in the future. Whereas if you treat it competitively, you are far less likely to accept any feedback from the ADR. And that's always going to make it a far more difficult. It makes it far more likely that the same mistakes will be made again and the same type of claim will come to the ADR again and you will get ruled against again. Learn from the mistakes and treat your ADR as a resource. They're like a third-party consultant that you're paying a very low fee for. Take the value from it.
I love it. And I really like the fact that you mentioned that you cannot win every case. And probably the moment it all gets to ADR, the whole level of angriness of a particular customer becomes higher and higher the more you chat with either ADR or operator. But is there a way how can operators actually turn these angry customers and their complaints into like a loyalty building opportunity further on?
It's a good question, but I would make some distinctions here. There are players where you want to turn that into a loyalty building exercise. If you've made mistakes, admit them. We all get things wrong, and most players will be understanding if you say, well, actually, yeah, we see we made a mistake in how you were managed there. Here's what we're going to do to resolve it. Please accept our apologies, etc. Most players will respect that. But you don't want to try and appease every player, because many players, either their claim is invalid, they just haven't read the terms and haven't abided by the rules that they agreed to, or there are issues with fraud and identity theft. And these players will try and create a circus around the complaint to try and pressure the gambling operator into just paying them to go away. You don't want to appease that type of player, because once you do it once, it will keep happening again and again. So to step back to the question, really it's a two-tier response. One, you have to get good at filtering out which claims you think you have made errors in, and you then use those claims. The second step is to take those claims and have a frank and honest conversation with the consumer. Do whatever you can to rectify the issue and build trust. Because there's few things in life that build trust more than somebody saying to you, I'm really sorry, I got that wrong. How can I make it up to you? There are few things in life that will build loyalty better than doing that.
The way you frame complaints, it sounds like it is a business intelligence rather than just a problem to solve And it is really smart, because when you think about it that way, it means that it's a great way on how to listen, to understand your business and how to make it better. And the smart operators should. So I really like what you just mentioned, and your experience of like handling thousands of disputes really comes through all the insights you're mentioning. Thanks a lot, Duncan. I really enjoyed this episode, and it's been a true blessing to have you here with us.
Thanks very much. It was great to speak to you again, Dimitri. Bye for now.
Cheers. Bye-bye.